And we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes to jump on because I know technology can sometimes be a little tricky. But hey, I can see a couple of people jump on. If you're on and you can hear me and see me okay, it'd be really helpful if you go to the chat and just say, hi, I can hear you. Hi, I can see you. That stuff really helps. Hi, I can see a few people jumping on. If you want to say hi, please do. You don't have to. It's completely up to you. But there is a chat box. I'm going to say hi there, everyone. And if you can hear me and see me, it would be really great if you can just say hi in the chat box. If you put it should be on your left. It's at the top. It's a little kind of speaky thing. I'm going to go and get started. If someone could just say they could hear me, that would be really helpful. I'm just going to assume that you can. Can everyone hear? Can you all hear? Can nobody figure out the chat box? Hi, it's really good to see so many of you here. I'm going to go down, make sure that you can all hear and see me. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay. We are going to get started very shortly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I just want to introduce myself really quickly. I'm going to say a little bit more in the presentation. So we are going to be talking today about the 5-point plan that you can use in your life if your life has been hijacked by alcohol. So I am somebody whose life was hijacked by alcohol, and I've been sober for 18 years. I'm also a recovery coach and EFT practitioner. I'm a former therapist. I wrote a couple of books. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that. So I'm going to go through what the 5-point plan is, what you need to do to get sober, to stay sober. And here's the thing. If being sober wasn't a whole lot of fun and fulfilling and all of those things, who would bother being sober, right? So that's really what this is all about, the 5-point plan for really having the kind of life that you want to have. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm assuming that you can all still hear me okay. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is let's eliminate distractions, because you have given yourself, I'm just going to do the end full screen. There we go. You have given yourself this time, and let me exit full screen so I make sure that you're still on. Okay. Let's eliminate distractions. I know there's all sorts of beepy, buzzy things and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And we are really talking about something that's really life-changing here. And I want you to have that opportunity to have your life change. So let's turn off our phones or put them on mute or hide them or whatever. And just give yourself, this is going to be like 45 minutes to really see if this is what it's going to take for you to make a big transformation. So you are in the right place. You are exactly where you need to be right now watching this. You are in the right place if your drinking used to be fun, but it's just been hijacked. Now, all of us start out with drinking's fun. We're not idiots. Drinking is fun to begin with, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. But at some point, we lose that balance. And drinking is no longer fun, and the price of drinking is really high, and we don't really notice. And we've just kind of got lost, and we don't know how to stop. So if you feel that alcohol's in control of you, then you're in the right place. If you are at the point where you just want to be free of all of that, you want to be free of that conversation in your head about whether to drink or not to drink, or you're recovering from drinking and you just want to be free of all that craziness, you're in the right place. You are in the right place if you just want your life back. You just want to feel like you're back in control and you're not at the mercy of all of these things going on around you and the first drink and all that kind of stuff. So where are you right now? What point are you right now? Now, nobody comes to a training or a webinar like this on this subject by accident. So I'm going to guess that you're a little bit lost, a little bit confused, maybe frightened, lonely, all of that kind of stuff. You're really frustrated. Maybe you've not told anyone that alcohol is really becoming a problem for you, or maybe you've sought lots of help and you're really frustrated because nothing's working. But I'm guessing that you're not in the best place with your relationship with alcohol. And where do you want to be? You want to feel happy, free, just fulfilled again, right? You just want to be in this place that you kind of see other people in, but are not totally sure how to get there yourself. Okay, so what you need is a bridge. That's what you need. You need a bridge to get from this place that you are to the place that you want to be. And that's what my 5-point plan is. It's a bridge to get to that place of freedom, but it's also, it's a way of living for the rest of your life as well. Now, before we get started, I do want to tell you about some bonuses that I have at the end of this. So at the end of this training, I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about my pay program. And I do have some bonuses on there. They're worth almost $1,000, and they're for anybody who signs up in the next 24 hours. You may have seen some of my trainings. I've done a bunch of free ones, but this is a whole package of training for anybody to help with alcohol cravings, sugar cravings, panic attacks, stress, anxiety. There is a whole bunch of video trainings where will train you how to use emotional freedom technique, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. So you can reduce and eliminate alcohol cravings in minutes, reduce or eliminate sugar cravings in minutes, reduce or eliminate your stress in minutes, reduce or eliminate your anxiety, your panic attacks in minutes. And you will have access to those bonus trainings the minute that you purchase. So you get those immediately. And I want to tell you about those at the end. So if you're interested in hearing about them, please stick around to the end, and I'd love to talk to you about that stuff. So let's get on to the 5-point plan and what you're going to learn. So one of the biggest things that I hear all the time from people is the feeling of missing out. Like they don't want to stop drinking because this fear of missing out. Well, I'm going to show you how you can get to the place where you won't feel like that anymore. In fact, you'll feel just the opposite, the kind of like that. When you look at drinking and drinking scenes and alcohol, you won't feel that kind of, oh, it's not fair, I'm missing out. You'll feel quite the opposite, in that doesn't bring me anything when I have all of this. So you'll learn how to not feel controlled by alcohol and really have the freedom to live the life that you want to live and be yourself again. You know, when alcohol gets the best of us, we lose who we are. We lose the person that we are. We become disconnected from ourselves. We do and say things that are not true to who we are. And the 5-point plan is about getting you back again. So just a quick little bit about me. I told you a little bit about the beginning. I wrote a couple of books. Maybe that's how you found me. Kristen Johnson said some nice things about me. Here is some pictures of me when I was drinking, so I can show you that, yes, I did drink, and I'm only grateful that my drinking happened in the 90s before the social media age, because I'm really glad this stuff is not out there. And this is my life now. And I want to show you that because it's really important if you are thinking of working with somebody, or if you're in my Facebook group and you do a lot of my free stuff. I think it's really important that you check out the people that you're working with and ensure that they are who they say they are. And I say this because I have worked with people who have offered sobriety services based on that they recovered, and in fact that's not been the case. So it's important that you do that. And I just want to show you, you know, I want to tell you also my life is not perfect. I have challenges in it, just like everyone else. But sobriety has given me so much more than I could ever, ever, ever imagine. So, has alcohol hijacked your life? I'm going to assume that if you are here watching this right now, then the answer to that is yes. So, here is the thing about alcohol and the fear of missing out. Perception is everything. Really, all that happens when we make this quite massive transformation in our culture to being somebody who drinks to somebody who is alcohol free is that we have gone from seeing things one way to seeing them another way. Perception is everything. So we have this perception of alcohol because alcohol makes a promise to us. This is really important. Alcohol makes a promise to us when we first start drinking. Now, it does that a lot through marketing, but it does that a lot through what we see represented around us in our culture, where we see this perception of Friday, Saturday night, people drinking, falling over. And the perception is that these people are having fun. Now, some of them are. I had fun when I drank. Some of my drinking was definitely fun. A lot of my drinking, pretty much most of my drinking at the beginning of my drinking was just a ton of fun. But here's the bit that nobody tells you. There is always a price. And I don't mean money. There is always, from day one, a price. We never talk about that. And we never talk about the enormity and increasing price that we pay for the promise that alcohol tells us it's going to deliver on. So it promises us all this, right? Alcohol promised me that I would be sexy. It promised me I would be fun. It would promised me I would meet people and have deep, meaningful connections with people. It promised me that I would feel great about myself. It promised me excitement. It promised me a whole bunch of stuff. Now, did it deliver on its promise? Only in the first couple of years. And I drank for 12 years. For the last 10, no, it didn't, but I kept trying to get it to deliver on its promise. What I never knew was about the cost and the perceived benefits that I thought alcohol had. Like, I perceived that it was going to bring me all these things. Yay, those are things I want. And I did these complicated equations and calculations that kind of equaled that, yeah, I did this. So I'll give you a quick example. I remember at 15 years old being in a bar, blacking out, making it outside because I knew I was going to throw up, throwing up in the gutter, coming around with the bartender throwing a bucket of water over me. None of that is normal and none of that's okay. And I felt like shit. And somehow I got home and I woke up the next day, and this is back before cell phones, but I met up with my friends at some point, probably at school, because I started drinking when I was in high school. And my brain had rebranded that event to equal fun and a really good night out. And that's where it was filed in the filing system of my brain, that had been a really good night out. That was my perception. So we want to talk about the cost and the benefit of alcohol. So alcohol promises us that we are going to be fun. We are going to have fun. We are going to feel less stressed. We are going to be able to socialize, entertain, makes food better. Connection is a really big one. I think alcohol advertising does that a lot, in that all of us as human beings need meaningful connection in our lives. And alcohol does a phenomenal job of promising that it will bring that. So, but there is a cost. So there's dollars. Okay, so there's the money that you spend, and it's not just the money you spend on alcohol. It's the money that you spend on cabs, takeout food, babysitters, the money that you lost because you didn't take opportunities for your job or your business. It also, because alcohol is an antidepressant and that's how it works in the central nervous system, it will have an effect on your emotional well-being. If you drink enough of a substance, if you take enough of a substance that's a depressant, it is going to bring your mood down. So it will affect your mental health. Now, if you're the kind of person who gets drunk and ends up saying things they regret or feels ashamed about, it's going to impact your relationships with people in your family, with people in you work with your children. It's also going to affect your physical health. Again, it's a highly toxic substance. So if you put an excess of that in your body continuously, it will be impacting your health. You know, when we start becoming disconnected from ourselves and behaving in ways that we don't recognize, it affects our self-esteem. You know, and the other thing that we don't talk about a lot is our abuse of drinking affects other people. You know, the number one question I want you to ask yourself right now is how do you know, if you're still like, well, you know, my perception is I still think alcohol is fun. It's the main way I have fun and I enjoy it. What I would like you to ask yourself is, if you're a parent, ask your children, do your children think your relationship with alcohol is fun or not? Because that might be a real eye-opening answer. Do your colleagues on a Monday morning do they think your relationship with alcohol is fun? See, it's all about perception. And because our belief system is so entrenched that alcohol is going to deliver on its promises, that it's sometimes hard for us to see the other side of the scales, the other side of the equation. So if you've got your workbook, the first question that I want you to think about is, what is the cost of your drinking right now? You can give a wild guess at what, you know, how much money you spend. But right now, what is the other cost? Like, how do you feel the next day? Are you able to get up at 8 a.m. and go to the park with your kids and have fun, or go and exercise, or go meet a friend for coffee? Do you cancel stuff? Do you cancel stuff that could be fun or interesting or enlightening because you're just hungover? I've done that a ton of times. So write down in your workbook, the first question is, how has alcohol hijacked your life? Write down the cost of your drinking. How do you feel about yourself the next day? That's a big, big thing. That's a big part of the price. How do you feel about yourself the next day? Have you ever woken up just feeling just lousy about yourself, uncomfortable in your own skin? Because that's the cost of your drinking. Now, when you see the cost compared to the perception of the amount of fun that you're having, the other thing I would challenge is one of the big things that we use alcohol for is this real belief that the alcohol is going to help us be less lonely and more connected to people, because those things are so essential to us. What is the quality of your connections with the people you drink with and the people in your life in general? Are they genuine, supportive, authentic, and loving? Or are they shallow, fair weather drinking buddies? Are some of your relationships awkward? Is there an ickiness sometimes? Do you feel uncomfortable around people? So how genuine and real are those connections that you have that alcohol has promised you? So I want you to look at the next question is, what scares you the most about stopping drinking? Because this is where we can get really honest. Because if you're still on the fence, or you're stopped, but I think you want to go back, or because of the perception of the promise of alcohol, what is it that scares you the most about drinking? For most people, it's this: FOMO, fear of missing out. And again, we are scared we're going to miss out on this. That's what we're scared. Like, if I stop drinking, I will not have this in my life. I will not have fun. I will not have connection. I will not feel part of. And when we examine this, we begin to see that actually the things that we thought that we had, we actually don't really have. So the fear of missing out, what we want to be doing is be very truthful about what it is actually we are missing out on. Because I get that at some point your drinking was fun, but how long has it not been fun? And what are you missing out on in your life that you could be doing instead of being drunk or hungover. So this is how we become free of that whole, like, I'm scared of missing out, all that kind of stuff. And this is when I've worked with clients on a one-to-one, this never fails to work. When we really do a deep dive into their whole fear of missing out and the reality and the truth of their life and their drinking, it kind of all just crumbles, because actually none of those things are true, or some of them are true but not really, or a bit of them are true but they're just not worth the price. That's what you've got to ask yourself. Is what I'm getting from alcohol worth the price I'm paying? Okay, so we can go a little bit further and look at what will we lose if we don't stop drinking. Because at a certain point, when you think that alcohol is a problem, we become really scared that we might lose things that we really care about. So that's our relationships, our purpose, money, time. You know, drinking alcohol at an abusive level takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of time, not just drinking, but recovering from drinking. It takes up a lot of time. So what happens when we begin to understand that things are not as we thought they were? We begin to see things differently. All of these things were true for me. When I stopped drinking, I realized that my friendship group was all fair weather friends, with the people I actually didn't feel very comfortable to be around, only when I was drunk. And when I stopped drinking and I saw that, it was quite a surprise to me, because I thought these were my best friends. And when I kind of look back and thought of the times where I thought I was having the time of my life, but then I actually considered the price, I realized it really wasn't the time of my life, because the price was so high. So I saw things differently. So we can come out of that whole fear of missing out when we begin to see things differently. Because what is this? What do we want here? We want our best life. We're all of us here for a short amount of time. And what we have to ask ourselves at a certain point, what do we want our lives to be about? And I realized that alcohol just made my life really, really small. And what we want to do is really live our best life. And how do we do that? We do that with the 5-point plan. So let's go ahead and talk more about how you can apply the 5-point plan. So the 5-point plan comes in 5 pillars, 5 areas that if you apply them to your life, and they're fairly simple, your life will improve dramatically. So the first thing is movement. Now, this is on 2 levels. So the first thing I want to talk about first of all, is actually exercise, which is like pretty straightforward and simple, and I'm not an exercise guru. But all of the research and all of the studies show that exercise is the best treatment for most mental health and emotional problems that we have. It is by far and away the leading form of treatment in terms of how effectively it works. However, I think that we kind of forget that. I think that we minimize that, yeah, we're all busy, we're all tired. I get it. I'm busy and tired all the time. And I have to really, really plan to just get 30 minutes of movement in, but I feel so much better than I did. So I would challenge you to exercise moderately, and I'm just talking about a brisk walk. That's it. A brisk walk that gets your heart rate up a little bit, most days for a month. I guarantee by the end of that month, you are going to feel considerably better. But the other part of movement is about is your life moving in the direction you want? So you can go ahead and fill that out on your handout. And that's really about, am I purposefully moving in the direction that I want to go? Or am I at the mercy of life, where things just happen to me and I just react and I'm just struggling and I'm just surviving? So when this is about being conscious and making the decision to be responsible for the direction of our lives. Now, sure, yeah, I'd love to be on an island in Barbados right now. That's where I would like to move to. And that's going to be unrealistic for me at the moment. However, when I look at my day-to-day decisions and how I spend my time and where I give my energy and where I give my focus, is that going in a direction that is one of growth and support and enrichment? Or is it going in the direction where I am limited and my life is kept small? And which is the road that I want to go down? So that is a question to really consider, and to consider whether alcohol is a part of that. So if you stop drinking, let's say we had a magic wand, and for whatever's going on in your life right now, I had a magic wand and I could solve the alcohol problem for you tonight, and you woke up the next morning and that alcohol was no longer a problem, would the direction of your life change? Would your life change? Yes or no? So that can be a really powerful question to consider. Just consider, if you had that problem solved and you were able to easily stop drinking, wake up tomorrow, that was no longer a problem, what would the next year look like? What would you do? Who would you be with? What possibilities are there for you? If that feels scary and exciting, then you're most definitely in the right place. Okay, so the second part of the 5-point plan is about connection. And this part is just so important, especially as we're talking about the way that alcohol tricks us and sells us on the promise of connection. Because this is something that we're really struggling with in our culture. We are in an epidemic of loneliness. Many people are not as connected or as deeply connected to other people or family members or friends as they would like to be. And it's becoming a real issue. Connection is essential for all of us, all human beings. We need deep and meaningful connection. It is vital for anybody suffering from an alcohol problem, because those meaningful connections that we have with other people are what sustains us through our life. And I have this expression about meaningful connection with people who know our souls. So it's, that's not everybody, and it's really, usually a very small amount of people, but just people that you just know. I have a couple of friends in England who I don't see very often, maybe every few years, and we just pick up where we left off. They know what I'm thinking before I think it. They just know me. They know my fears and insecurities and what moves me and what brings me joy. They just know me. And we all need those people in our lives. Now, if you have those people in your life right now, that's wonderful. If you would like to have that in your life, I'm going to suggest that one of the reasons you don't have it is alcohol is interfering with your ability to nurture that. It's not something that can just happen overnight. It's something that takes time and effort, and we have to continue. I read a study recently, I can't remember how, it was about how many hours it takes to be within, I think it was 500 hours. I think that was the right number. Maybe it was a bit less, of time spent with another person before we can say that person is a really good friend. That's why often we can do that in our jobs sometimes. I mean, I've had jobs where I've at the end of a couple of years felt very close to those people because we spent so much time getting to know each other. So connection is really essential. So it's not just with other people, it's also with ourselves. It is connecting with our truth, with our purpose. It is these connections that really help us overcome fear and all that kind of stuff. And there's some suggestions, you can support groups and online community groups are a way of beginning to do that. If you feel that you're very alone right now and you have no connections, it is a way to start. So I want to ask you in your workbook, is there any activity or hobby or sport or anything that you used to do but you dropped because alcohol took up too much time? Yeah, I'd love to be able to surf like that guy in the picture. But is there anything in your life that you just kind of don't do anymore because alcohol just got in the way. For me, it wasn't so much it was the drinking, it was the being hungover part. Like my hangovers were really bad. So I worked and my hobby was drinking and recovering from drinking because that's all that I could fit into my life. And I definitely began to drop and reduce things down because they interfered with my drinking. So the third part of the 5-point plan is balance. Balance is everything. Whatever the question is, balance is always the answer. So balance is an art. So how we balance our lives. So, that was a really good example how unbalanced my life was. I worked and my hobby and activity was drinking and being with people who drank the way that I did. That was my life. I sometimes exercised. And I remember once dating this guy, and on the Saturday, like he was like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, kind of looking at him thinking, go to the pub. Like, obviously, I was looking at him thinking, what a strange question. It was a Saturday, the weather was nice. We go to the pub and we sit outside by the river and we drink and have lunch. Like, and I could see as I was saying those words, he was looking at me thinking, what? Like, he wanted to do a bike ride or something like that. My life was so unbalanced. Whatever situation, I always managed to get alcohol into it. And balance is really something that we can only learn when we stop drinking. And it's about balancing our needs. It's about balancing our need for connection. It's about balancing our needs for our purpose, our career, our spiritual growth, our emotional well-being, our times with our family. All of that is like a big plate that we have to balance, and it changes all the time. So whenever I can almost guarantee whenever I'm feeling out of sorts, uncomfortable in my own skin, the first thing I do is check my balance, because something is always off. It's either I'm not getting enough sleep, or I'm not exercising, or I haven't just spent time with some girlfriends. I've just spent all my time with my kids. When my balance is off, I don't feel great. The answer is to check my balance, look what need is not being met, and do my best to rectify that. So what would you like to do instead of drinking or recovering from drinking? I mean, what is available to you? Like, I love this picture. If you can see it, there's like a bunch of millennials doing like amazing activities. Is it just being able to be up on a Sunday morning, going to church, or going on a bike ride, or exercising, or just being present for your grandkids, or write that book you've always wanted to write, or decorate your house, or all of the 100 million other things that just don't get done, that you see that you would like to do, that you could do instead of drinking. So I also want you to think about alcohol does this amazing job of telling us that it is the best and really the only way to have fun. So I want you to think about the ways that you've had fun without alcohol, because you have had them. And if you really sit down and just write down 3 or 4 things that you can think of where you've had fun without alcohol. I mean, I can think of a ton now, but I would be stumped to this question when I first stopped drinking, because I just couldn't even conceive. And I would have to think really hard. And it would kind of probably involve, it's those kind of times where, I don't know, something spontaneous happened, or I, was with some people and we just were laughing or whatever. So in what ways have you had fun without alcohol? Because there's definitely going to be some. And that's going to help you feel a little bit more balanced, that alcohol is not the only way to have fun and have connection, all that kind of stuff. And I'm aware I missed out question 8. And that is, why is balance so crucial to sobriety in life? And that's just something to think about as you watch this. So how could you balance your life better? What would you need to change right now to get those needs met of connection, or fun, or sleep, or exercise, or spiritual growth, or your purpose and career? How could you balance your life better right now? So I want to talk about the 4th part of parts 4 and 5 of the 5-point plan. And this is about process, and process is how we feel better. So if you're familiar with my worker tool, one of the things I practice is emotional freedom technique, EFT. And it's one of the most powerful ways that I have of processing how I feel. Because even with 18 years of sobriety and my training as a therapist and all this experience, every so often something happens and I don't feel great about it. Now, what I do know is that I can choose for how long I want to feel in that negative space. I get to choose my response now. So I have many different methods that I've used over the years to when I notice, okay, there's something going on with me. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling frightened. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I process those feelings because I don't want to have them linger in me any longer than necessary. And here's the other thing. Once I do that, there's always a learning opportunity in them. There's always an opportunity for me to grow. So process is how we become free. It's a good thing. It's not about, it's not necessarily about going into the past and spending hundreds of hours talking about our awful childhood. It's about understanding our emotional lives and how we can be masters of our emotional lives instead of our emotions ruling us. So it's about freedom. Process is about how we get free from the past, free from fear, and free from limiting beliefs. So I'd like to ask you, how do you process your feelings? What do you do to process your feelings? How do you deal with your feelings? Is alcohol being your solution? Because it's not a great one and it's not going to help you. You probably realize that by now. And that's one of the things I teach is just a different way to just deal with all of that stuff so it just doesn't affect us so much. So the last part of the 5-point plan is about growth. So I always have this saying, if we're not growing, then we are dying. We have to grow. We all have to grow. If you look around and you see a plant, you see a child, you see a person, you see a business, you see a company, it's either growing or it's dying. We have to grow. That's part of being alive. And our job here is to become the best version of ourselves and to live in our truth. And we can only grow when we are not owned by fear, when our lives are balanced, when we're taking care of ourselves, when we have connection with people that we can talk about that spark those ideas and all that kind of stuff. So I want you to ask yourself, how are you growing? Do you feel like you're growing as a person, as a parent, as a child, as a spouse, as a partner, as an employee, as just a human being? Do you feel that you're growing in the way that you want to grow? Because that's what you need to look for, is opportunities and experiences that help you grow. This is about the difference between thriving and just surviving our lives. So the 5-point plan all work together. It's like cogs in a wheel that just all work and turn together. And I want to ask yourself, really, the last question is, where do you see yourself in 1 year's time? So 1 year today, so the beginning of summer 2019, if you don't stop drinking or you don't figure out how to be happy and sober, like what will happen in the next 12 months? How will that be for you? Because the 5-point plan will take you from where you are right now to the place where it could be different. It's really the key to all of this. And however that looks for you, what's your vision for a year from now if you could be sober? Like, what could your life look like? What opportunities could you take? What about your relationships, your romantic relationships? What could that look like a year from now if you change your life and you stop drinking? And I want to ask you, if you've got to this point, why did you show up today? Why now? Why have you made this decision that things have to change now? Because there's so much more. This is not just about putting down the drink. It's about all of the stuff we could be or that we could lose. So I want to ask you, why does it have to change now? Why today, and what could it be like a year from now? Because there's when you get to that point and you're asking yourself, why do things have to change now? You have two choices. You can continue the way that you are, getting the results that you're getting. You can continue with the kind of half measures, with the you know, I see a lot of people sometimes who are getting sober, and they're kind of like pissed off because they're looking at other people who are sober who seem to have a great life, and they're like, why is that not happening for me? So you could continue the way that you are, getting the results that you're getting, where you just don't have the life that you want, or you can choose a different path. And that's when I'd like to invite you to join me in the Sober for Freedom program, which starts on Monday, the 21st of May. So what the program offers is it's 6 weeks of support. So each week you get a bunch of different content. There's videos, there's some exercises, and you have lifetime access for this content. Nobody goes through everything every week, so don't panic like you wouldn't be able to do it. There's just a lot of information for you to go back to, and I coach you in how to use all of the different tools. You also get access to a private closed Facebook group that's just for paid students. And I will be in there five days a week, usually, interacting with you, answering your questions. And there's a lot of intensive support in that Facebook group. You also get 6 coaching calls. So that's where I coach you along with Chip Summers, the other trainer in this program, who I want to tell you about in a minute. So we answer your questions, and there's an opportunity to submit your questions ahead, like, hey, I don't understand this worksheet, or I'm going through this at the moment. What do you think I should do? We can answer all of your questions. We can coach you through the work. And you can really kind of get a really good understanding of how to apply the 5-point plan to your life. And they're all recorded. So if you can't make them live, it's fine. You can watch them afterwards. So I'm going to be, I'm just going to shut that window. Landscapers are here. I'm going to show you how to use the emotional freedom technique, EFT. And that's one of the things that we do in week 1. If you get the bonuses, this stuff will be in the bonuses as soon as you get it. But I'm also, in the first week, will show you how to use EFT to manage cravings, because that's really important. That's the first thing we need to deal with. So we will be doing that training in the first week. And you will be able to leave that training completely confident and be able to use that to deal with cravings and a bunch of other stuff. So each week we go through the 5-point plan. We go through connection, movement, balance. I show you exactly how you can process your feelings in a way that enables you to get free. We look at relationships, peer groups, there's a whole bunch of stuff on how do I tell people I've stopped drinking, how do I deal with people who keep pressuring me to drink, how do I deal with people who don't understand that I want to stop drinking. All of that content is in there. One of the big ones is how, just how to deal with your feelings, right? Because when you stop drinking, you have all of these feelings come up that are really difficult, and we have a whole process to deal with all of that. And we also look at growth, at becoming your best self. So I want to tell you quickly about Chip, who is, I call him my recovery Jedi Master. Chip is one of the instructors on the course. I don't know if you read Russell Brand's book, Recovery. Chip is the first person who is thanked in that. And I'm just telling you that because Chip is really the gold standard. He's been sober for 33 years. What he doesn't know about getting sober is not worth knowing. We're very lucky to have him in the program. So he's one of the instructors. So, but why would you do all of that course? Why would you do that? You do it because you want to be the person that you will always want, you were always meant to be. It's about, you will be able to deal with cravings. You will understand exactly why you feel the way you do. You'll be able to deal with feelings and emotions. You'll be able to have structure and a plan, be able to break free of limiting beliefs, and really be part of a community that's on the same path. So I just want to tell you about the value of the program, and I'll get to how you can sign up and get the bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So the value of the program is $9,500 with all of the content. And I know that's a lot of money. Don't worry, I'm not going to charge you that much. I'm going to tell you about the bonuses really quickly. I suffered from, a big part of my story was anxiety and panic attacks. I had them from 17 to like about the first year of my sobriety, and panic attacks were just one of the biggest reasons I drank. And anxiety was such a big problem for me. And I didn't know about EFT then. I really wish I had. And I managed to get through, but I've helped a lot of people work with anxiety. EFT is really phenomenal for anxiety. So the bonuses, there's 6 bonuses. There's all these bonus videos which you would have access to right now if you sign up. How to use EFT, how to reduce your anxiety in minutes, how to reduce your panic in minutes, how to reduce or eliminate your sugar cravings in minutes, how to reduce or eliminate your cravings to drink in minutes, how to feel less stressed in minutes. Oh, and you know what? I actually haven't put down there. I also have, in addition to these, 2 1-hour trainings on that go in really, really in depth about dealing with alcohol triggers and to deal with all kinds of sugar cravings. So there's a bonus, 2 more bonuses on top of that. There is a 7-day money back guarantee, so it's risk-free. So if in the first 7 days of the course you feel that that this isn't right for you, we will give you your money back. So the value of all of that is $10,000 with the bonuses. If you were going to go into rehab or go to counseling, this is roughly how much you spent. But you can get started on this program for as little as $225. We do have a payment plan. It's 3 payments of $225, and you can get all of that support and content from real experts. Now, you may be thinking, what if I need a bit more help than that? Well, we do have a premium program. And that includes everything that I've just told you about the 6-week program, but it also, and the bonuses, it does include 2 private one-to-one sessions with either myself or Chip, whoever you want to work with. Private email contact where you can email us and tell us what's going on, and we can keep in contact with email, and also a detailed aftercare plan where we will plan out exactly, you know, we will write a summary of what your challenges are, what your next steps are, all of that kind of stuff. So the value for all of that would be $1,200, but the premium program is just $1,499 if you wanted that other level of support to really work with myself or Chip on a one-to-one basis. So here is the link to buy. It's soberfool.com/bonus buy. And if you sign up today, in the next 24 hours, you will receive all those bonuses. They're only available for 24 hours. The course starts on May 21st. We're really excited. We've had a great group go through in February and March. And we're probably going to run this 2 or 3 times a year. So this is the last time really until the fall that we're going to run it. And then if you have any questions, you can let me know, but I am just going to quickly stick the link in the chat for you guys if you want to click on that. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and let me know. I do have a couple before people email me with questions. Do I have to go to 12-step meetings? That's completely up to you. We talk about this a lot in the program, where we discuss how you can support yourself in your community. And we do really recommend that you do find some local support groups. However, it can be whatever feels comfortable for you. So there are many options, and we do list them. There's like smart recovery options, refuge recovery, women in recovery, AA, all of those kind of things. So the answer is no, you don't have to go to 12-step meetings. But if you want to, that's great. But we are going to encourage you to look at some local support, because there's several reasons for that. That's how you build connections with people in the real world. And those people understand what you're going through. So that's really, really important. Now, some people just don't want to do that, and they join yoga groups or an exercise group. Several people who've gone through the course have done that. They've found like there's a walking group or a biking group. Again, you're getting exercise there, but you're also then beginning to build relationships. And what's great about the program is we've coached people through the process where they've wanted to do this, but they've been so scared about going and doing something new with people they don't know. Sober, and we have been able to support and coach them through that process using the Facebook group quite a lot for that, and it's really been a great support to people. I also, in the last course, we also had someone in the first week who had to go to Las Vegas on a work trip and was really, really nervous because obviously there's a lot of drinking and that kind of stuff. And we used the Facebook group to all support him. He was checking in with us like every 30 to 60 minutes, and he got through that whole trip sober. So it really is some intensive support for you for really just a fraction of the price. I am going to wrap things. There's a couple of other questions people asked is, and I am going to go back to so you can see me. Yay. There was just a few more questions. People asked, do I have to have stopped drinking to start this course? No, absolutely not. You can be still drinking and thinking about getting sober. You can be newly sober, or you can be a little way into your sobriety and just that feeling that it's not really happening for you. It's not really, you're not really fulfilled and getting what you feel like should be on offer in sobriety. It doesn't really matter where you are. This course covers all of that, and you'll find it a tremendous support. So you don't have to be sober. I am going to say as a disclaimer that if you are going to stop drinking, you do need to see the healthcare professional to do that safely. So if anybody has any more questions, they can put them in the chat box and I'm happy to answer them. There was a couple of other questions that came in. Oh, is it just for women? No, it's a mixed group of men and women. Again, taught by Chip and myself. I've known Chip for 17 years. He was my old boss, and it's really great to have that balance. So if you do, I'm going to wrap things up now. If you do want to get the bonuses, please get the buy within 24 hours. It's soberful.com/bonus buy. There will be an email going out with this in shortly. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to me in the Facebook group. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate that you watch this. And I'm just really happy for this opportunity to work for you. Thanks.